are back for part 3 of Beyond the Pulpit with me, Brittine'y. And as you can see, we got a full couch today. We got Toya and Alicia back with me. And you guys know we have been on this relationship and friendship kick. And ultimately, the biggest part of the whole goal, I should say, is how to really bring about healing in relationships and how to merge, and what does it really look like to have kingdom friendships, and what's the difference between a kingdom friendship and a natural friendship. So let's just jump into it. We're gonna jump on it right there. So that's the question. What's the difference between a kingdom friendship and a regular friendship?
Toya look ready in that orange.
She's ready.
Come on, orange.
Fire.
Let me see. I feel like obviously being in God and being a kingdom woman, you know, in this stage of my life, in my fabulous 40s.
Come on,
Listen, and I just feel like when I was, you know, like a natural relationship, it just goes beyond us maybe, you know, kicking it, going out, you know, you call me, I call you, you know, it's, to me, it could be more surface level, right? Versus me being and having a kingdom relationship, I feel like that covers my whole life.
Yeah.
Because it's more of vulnerable, more transparent, you know, because, you know, you got Christian kingdom friends, you know, they can see like you see.
Yeah.
They can tap in like you tap in. Right? So I feel like it's and it's a huge benefit than just having a natural friend. Not saying there's nothing wrong with, you know, because sometimes you could be friends with your colleagues at work and just have a friendly relationship. But I feel like that the natural relationship can go so far.
Yeah.
And it's more surface level.
Yeah.
You know, I think when we think about kingdom, I feel like a lot of times it's kingdom connections, it's divine, and it's sometimes I feel like can be for forever.
Yeah.
That longevity.
That's good. Yeah.
I'm curious, like, how do you know, when people ask us, like, how do you know what's a kingdom and when it's not? And that's kind of the thing where we have to discern. God gave us all the gift of discernment, and sometimes we check out of that because we're lonely or we operating out of desperation.
Listen,
in our lonely seasons, it propels us into a lot of relationships. Look, we've gotten into marriages from lonely seasons.
You hear me?
We've gotten into entanglements, as the people
say.
Entanglements. And friendships can have to be some entanglements too.
Listen,
yes, that's the whole point.
You said something. Do you know back in the day when I didn't realize and really understand who I was, and I would befriend some of my assignments.
Oh,
baby, that's dangerous.
That's dangerous.
Girl, hush your mouth.
You supposed to mentor these people and be an example, but because you are not in the balance in your life, for whatever reason, there's some dysfunction there, or, you know, just the lack of, you know, in some instance. But the people that are your assignments, you become their friend. And then you wonder why it gets weird.
Yes.
You know, and it's like, what is going on? You know, well, they lost respect. And they was never supposed to be close to you that way and be in your inner circle.
Yeah.
Right? Some things are just going to be ministry.
Yeah.
Some things just going to be business.
Yeah.
I don't bring you into my personal life after we'd have a transaction. I don't have to, and I don't need to in every situation. So it's really about growing in discernment and really asking God, what relationship is this?
Yeah.
You know, store and then store it in that relationship well. If it's business, let it be business. If it's mentorship, let it be mentorship. You know, if it's, you know what I mean? You have to ask God, like, what is this? And like you said, the lack of having friendships in my life, you know, I invited something in closer than and I shouldn't have.
Yeah. And I think that's so important, is really understanding the difference between the two. Because like you both said, you know, I can have a relationship or friendship with anybody, but when you talk about kingdom relationships, kingdom friendships, it really, you start talking about covenant then. And then a lot of people don't realize is that relationships is the currency of kingdom.
Come on now.
So you have to
Let me like silent. As the kids do now.
Yeah. That's tea. That's tea.
That's tea. As you can tell, we're all mothers, right? But we have to understand the difference between the two, because if not, like we talked about in part 2 in the previous episode, which is if you didn't watch that episode, go back and watch part 2. Because we talked about accountability, the grace, the respecting of the mantles, and we talked about boundaries. And if we don't know the difference between a kingdom friendship or what we call just a regular friendship, there's a difference. And if you don't understand that, then you won't have boundaries, you don't have respect, you won't understand or even begin to really even walk with that person when they're walking in their mantle, or even when they elevate in it, or business or anything like that. So when it comes to that, we've been talking about relationships and friendships. Why do y'all think we gonna go a little left?
I know I'm gonna go
left. You waiting for it? All right. Okay. Why do y'all think that friendships amongst the church are so difficult to maintain?
Oh, that's a good one.
That is
why?
good. Okay.
And I'm not just talking about women.
Yeah.
I'm talking about men and women. Okay. And then when you see good friendships, then other people try to pervert it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just understand.
That's good. Let me see. I want to touch on that last part, because I feel like that last part, when people see it and they pervert it, that's just the sinful nature of a person, and the toxicity of a person when they have not had something normal or seen it pattern the proper way. Yeah. So now, because they haven't seen it, now they gotta pervert it and make it be like, oh, I know they too close because of this, that. It gotta be something else. No, you just never had that.
Right.
And you haven't had anything healthy.
It goes into trauma.
You haven't had anything healthy. So you're going to filter what you've been through and what you've seen through your lens.
Yes,
and not through the lens of God, and not in a healthy way.
Or can we say this? And let me add this little side note. Perversion is not always sexual.
That's correct.
Okay? It's not always sexual. However, there are people that have had certain struggles that will try to push that on you because they have not seen the purity of authentic friendship.
Right.
Can we talk about this though?
Yeah.
We can talk about this because
again, beyond the pulpit.
If you're saying beyond the pulpit, that's because so many people are operating in that.
Yes.
So many sonships, so many daughterships, so many friendships in church are perverted.
Yes.
And a lot of people are pouring out these things in the church, so everybody has to be on this edge. Is it real? Is it not? Is it? And it's so I don't even think everything's nefarious from people. I'm gonna just take a different approach. Your approach was amazing because that is true. Trauma induced, a rose glass lens that's filtered by us. But then the other approach is we've never seen good.
That is correct.
Even in the kingdom. We've never, because the ones that are good, they're lone rangers. They don't deal with anybody. They're not taking nobody because they've been hurt.
That's correct.
We have leaders right now that should have healthy friendships. But because they've been hurt, they just fighting alone. And they're great leaders. They're anointed, they're appointed, and they're doing what God told them to do. But there is still a level of kingdom that requires friendship.
It does.
And I think we can't go around it because I grew up in that mentality of, well, I don't need no friends. God is going to be, I don't need no, and it's like, but God has, and if you go through the Bible, God always had covenant friendships.
Yes, he did.
There always was a Moses and an Aaron. There always was a David and a Jonathan. There always was the disciples that went together. There always was. He never just had someone. I even love the story of Elijah. When Elijah was acting like he was alone by himself, God had to reveal to him, it ain't just you, baby. There's hundreds of other people that believe just like you. Let me connect you. Let me let you see. Because we can get into this isolated, depressive church thing. I'm just by my, and I got to serve him alone. And it's just like, you really don't have to. And I don't, and this would be, if we be honest, you don't want to.
Right.
You really don't want to. That's the part. A lot of times we justify our loneliness and our singleness in friendship. And I'm not talking about dating or marriage, but we justify, well, I'm alone because I'm called. That's a lie. You're not alone because you're called. Now, I do think there are certain seasons that you do have to go alone.
There is.
However, even in those seasons, you have to be able to discern and really filter who's supposed to even be with you for a season or a lifetime,
Yeah.
who is supposed to stay at the bottom of the mountain while you go up to the top and ascend, or whatever the case may be, and who's qualified to go with you.
Oh, yeah.
But again, relationships are the currency of kingdom.
Yeah.
So if that's the currency of kingdom, then why is it so hard within the and let me do this. There's a difference between church and kingdom.
That's
and
good.
because of that, people
That's
don't
good.
fully understand
That's
kingdom.
Yeah.
And everybody's been doing church. Yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
And we're gonna deal with that. And again, I want to hear your feedback. Go ahead and drop it in a thing. Because again, the whole point of Beyond the Pulpit is to not only talk about the real not-cut solutions, but also, we're out of the church walls, but also be solutionists. Kingdom is bring about solutions. Where there's a problem, we have a solution, and that solution is God. But how do we get you to God if you can't have natural relationships, then how you gonna have a relationship with your Father?
That's right. Ooh, that's good.
So again, I pose the question: why is it so hard to find true kingdom relationships or have relationships and friendships in the church?
I don't think the church stewards that well. I do believe if we are called to be solutionists, then the church has to start chipping and chiseling away at what we see living in our congregations.
That's right.
We see cliques, we see isolation, we see people that come in. I was counseling someone at church that's underneath my department, and they were like, well, I just be by myself. I'm struggling with depression. You know what I told them? I said, you need to come to the small groups. You need to get around more. When they invite you to the outings,
that's right.
Come on out from them. I'm saying because in this season, the devil wants to sift you as wheat.
That's right.
And when we start to see this as leaders, and we see someone just isolated, and they always going through, we need to say, come on into the folds of, I don't know, maybe in this small group, you're going to meet a friend.
That's correct.
Maybe this thing, you're going to hear a story. You may find a covenant sister. I don't think we create enough opportunities in church. We do the little fake, okay, we come join my big group, we come go my school, and then we, church nice, that we talked about. Yeah. And then we go home, and there's no teaching accountability, teaching intentionality. These are not things that the God body teaches. We don't teach intentionality. What that looks like. So I feel if more churches we want to be all deep. Yep. We do. We want to go and read 77.5 books of Old Testament scrolls and ecclesiology. All these things. Y'all, I'm crazy. But then we can't teach a small group about intentionality.
Exactly.
Or how about just be nice?
Yeah.
Because if I come,
be friendly.
Because if I come, I would have never known. Remember, I met you at the GYYC conference.
Girl,
And the first time I met her, this girl had a whole prophetic word. Oh, God's about to lead you here. You need to be here. It's something about it. I don't know who you are, what you do, but you need to be here. And I'm looking at her like, Negro, I am not leaving Texas.
And going to stay there. I prophesied us husbands, but we not going to talk about that.
Because they coming. If you watch it, go ahead and put it in the chat. Put it.
Yes.
Fire emoji, heart.
Look at her.
We are definitely very, very, very single.
Listen.
And have been, can we be funny?
Men
for
of the
a
Lord.
very long time.
It's all right. I'm enjoying my singleness.
However, I am enjoying. She took the words out of my mouth.
Listen.
I've enjoyed my singleness.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But again, if I can't even enjoy my singleness, I will never enjoy a happy, healthy marriage. Because again, that requires relationship.
You didn't hit it. Do you know you hit something? God allows us to practice with one another.
Yes.
Right? Because, when you get married, like that's your forever person, right? And you're going to have to go through challenges, ups and downs, disagreements. They was raised a different way than you was raised. Same thing with friendships. Yeah. If we're not able to steward, like you just said, our singleness well, and to fellowship with people, show yourself friendly and don't be weird. Right?
Don't be open.
Come on now. Let's stop using the statement that the body of Christ and the church is peculiar people. We know that.
Yeah. Don't be
prophetic
weird.
people can be very peculiar, but there's a difference between peculiar and weird.
Exactly. It's a huge difference. It's a huge difference.
Yeah, I'm different.
And just be, just get out and do things because
what you like to do, Toya? Pray, prophesy, and preach.
Right.
That's weird.
What's your favorite?
I'm trying to build a relationship, friendship. Toya, what you do outside pray, outside preach? I fast 40 days and 40 nights.
What's your favorite food? The Last Supper.
Right.
Leavened bread.
Listen, what the Lord tell me, like, what? Sound like
There's people that's like that.
Yes.
I'm so turned off. I'm not even rude.
How you doing? I'm blessed and
highly favored. Girl,
Listen,
bye.
I'm doing
You look
well
like you're
today.
going
How are
through.
you?
Exactly.
Come
No
on,
transparency.
Listen, you know what I mean? Like, we have to, and here's the thing. We have to, if we have a real, you know what I feel like it's a lack of, you said, you know, how can you have a real relationship with the Father, you know, if you don't have a real relationship? But I feel like it's even flipped. How can I have to have a real relationship with the Father?
Before
I have to be honest with him about where I'm really at.
Yeah.
So that, you know, God can show me, you know, the Holy Spirit can show you how to be friendly. He can show you how to come out yourself. You spend time, he said, hey, don't stay in the house today. Why don't you call to text such and such?
Yeah.
Why don't you like you have to have that relationship. You know, I remember when me and my husband, we were friends before, you know, obviously husband and wife. And I remember wanting to do something or hang out. He said, why don't you call Joshua? I'm like, that's weird. You know, he said, how was that weird? You know, because first he was teaching me how to be a friend.
Yeah.
Because we laugh about it, but I was a person, let's fellowship. He was like what? I was like, he said, what kind of things you like to do? I promise you, I love going to prayer. I love going to worship.
She's a whole comedian, so this is funny.
So she said,
when I tell you that was a real thing. He was like, please don't say that. Like, and he started taking me like salsa dancing.
Trying to fellowship with you.
Right. He was like, just say hang out. Like, why would you, like, don't talk like that.
churchy term.
You know? And I'm like, oh my God. He was like, yeah, that's just hang out. Just say that. Say you just want to hang out. Mm-hmm. You know, say you just want to go get something to eat. You know, break. I was like, that's break bread.
Oh my
He'd be
God.
like,
Joshua, let's go
bro,
break bread.
if you hit me with something like that again, and I was like, and first of all,
at Jesus' feet.
right. Listen, he looking like, bro, who are you? Where did you come from? But he helped me get out of that because I was very religious.
Yeah,
but then that's religious.
I think you just hit something because in the church, even amongst female friendships, you meet people. I remember I was traveling to preach. And a lot of people, if you don't know me, you don't realize that I'm actually very down to earth. I'm very cool, fun,
funny.
Listen, I just want to watch movies, eat some buffalo wings. I like a salad, and I love cooking.
She be throwing down, y'all.
Is a love language of my future husband. If you are watching,
listen, baby,
please
don't play with it.
Don't play with my kitchen. If you don't know how to cook, you can come in and watch.
That's right.
Come hold my hand. Let's cook together.
Right.
But cooking is a love language, but you would never know that if you had no relationship. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times in the church, we over Jesus and over religious everything. Yep. And Jesus is like, I did not say that. You know what I mean? Yes. You're like, hey, like you said, hey, I want to go hang out. You want to go to the movies? I want to fellowship. Here's the deal. In the church,
it's crazy.
If I say, hey, how you doing, woman of God? And can we stop doing that if we're outside of the church? And I think it's okay to not say woman or man of God all the time. I think it is okay because what happens is, and again, we will have to talk about this on another podcast, but even with dating, I cannot stand when a man wants to pursue me and he hits my DMs, woman of God, because it's automatic with this preconceived notion that you're all ministry. So then I don't take you serious as someone who wants to pursue me because I think in my mind, you want ministry.
Yeah,
and I don't want to pour into you right now.
Do that,
you look good, you're handsome, you got this luscious beard. I'm not trying to man of God you. I want to get to know you. And I think even in the body of Christ, we put Jesus on everything. Mm-hmm. If I want to get to know you as a potential friend and sister, hey girl, let's go out. Let's go for coffee or something. Let's just go talk. What do you like to do?
Right.
I don't want. And hear my heart when I'm saying this, because somebody will take this and they'll twist it. I already know. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to hear Jesus the whole time. Yep. Now, Jesus, because he's a part of who we are and a part of a life, it may come up. But of course, if I'm asking you, what's your favorite color? Well, the Lord said that green is my color for this season.
Like what?
So to me, that's also is telling signs too, because there's friendship compatibility.
Unhealthy.
And I feel like for me, this is a surefire way to know that you're nice, but you're not. You said that assignment. If we're going somewhere and all you want to talk about is, I need to be poor, and I need to do this, and I need to do that, and I just feel that you got to wear, you can teach me. Okay, I'm listening to the language of what you're saying.
Yes.
I need friends like you because you can teach me how to,
Yeah.
if you're saying I need a friend like
Mentor.
you to teach what you said, you're not a friend. I'm not putting you in that friend status.
Exactly.
Just like she said, woman of God, it's now switched to ministry mode. And I realized, okay, this is an assignment. If we're coming together and we can have common ground, commonality, and we can, okay, well, there's potential.
Yeah.
I think now, and I'm going to flip this another way. I have had this approach where tons of people want to be my friend.
Yes.
Because I'm on a platform, because people see me, people flock to that.
Yes.
And I have to
you have to filter out.
Out very well, and then people, without hurting people.
Yes.
Because I am a leader.
That is correct.
I am in ministry, so it's a way to that. She said we finesse.
Yes.
And you're not being fake. You're putting people in categories that they belong in.
That is
and
correct.
so don't be offended. This is the thing, church, women and men of God. You cannot be offended if someone you want to be your friend so bad.
Right.
That's not who God has called them to be in your life.
That's right.
And I think that rejection spirit runs rampant in church.
It does.
So when people feel like, Sister Susie says she don't talk to me. I've texted her 50 times. And she just says, oh my God, praise God, praying for you. Yeah. She rejected me. She don't want to be my friend. See, this is why I try.
Also,
you're trying outside of your league. Right. I'm being honest.
Yes.
Look,
and here's the thing. You're throwing around a word that you have to be proven to be.
Yes.
Right? You throwing around a friend, okay, you are a lot of times people are fans.
Fans. That's the word.
You're a fan. You're a fan of me, and that's okay.
People call me friends
because I'm a fan of people.
People call me friends now, and they're not in that category.
Listen,
I never they put themselves in there.
And here's the thing, and it has to be God ordained and God led. Because I'm gonna keep it 100. Can I keep it 100 real quick?
Absolutely.
I was a fan of you. I was a fan of you.
Toya,
baby, this woman, a girl.
She is
I'm gonna be honest. I was a fan of you.
She's amazing,
right? And I was like, oh my God, and never try to be in your face and nothing like that. But I would go and be like, hey, you're awesome. You're amazing.
So
blase. I left it at that. Right? I wasn't trying to be weird. Yes. There's times where
and you was not at all.
But when I joined the church, then it changed a little bit, and I did feel like God told me to begin to pray for you. I prayed for you for like 3-4 months every Monday. I went up to her and I said, hey, and again, I didn't want to be weird either, because I'm like, people like, I'm praying for you. Like, girl, if you don't get about my face with that. I said, and I would try, like, hey, woman, God, just to let you know, I'm just thinking about you, and I just wanted to just let you know I'm covering you and praying for you. If you need anything, just let me know. And I still kept it pushing. Yeah. Right? God allowed this to happen organically.
Yes.
And
that's
organically. And you have to, and just because God may show you someone as your friend, you cannot put that in their face. You have to allow God to do it. Yeah. Right? Let God do it. Even if God's showing you someone as your spouse. Don't be like, I'm your wife, I'm your husband. That's weird. That is weird.
That's weird.
Let God do it. Right. Let God do it organically.
Yeah.
Let God move it and let God show them who you are. Mm-hmm. Clearly you can see who they are. Mm-hmm. They need to know who you are. Yeah. Right. And so it has to be a thing where God will show you from coming out of a fan state, a fangirl, a fanboy, to being a friend. Oh no, baby. I don't see it. Okay. What?
It's okay.
Okay. Y'all keep talking at this point.
Listen.
It's wrong cut.
Right.
She said it's wrong cut. She said we're going to continue this wrong cut. She'll be right back, y'all.
Baby, look, beyond the pulpit is how we get down. Don't play with it.
So listen, hold on.
And I got something right in my bag if you need it too. Hey.
But no, to steward that back, you're right. I feel like and this is the thing. God will give you insight on how to navigate. Yes. You didn't know me from a can of paint. Yes. But you didn't know that I like organic things. Yes. When people run up to me and be like, I'll be like, oh. Right. She already know. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to have to distance myself because they're crazy. I'm blind. I'd be like, they're crazy. I can't do this today. Right. Be my friend. Man, I've had people, you don't.
Yes. I know.
You didn't respond to me. Woman of God, I'm over here dealing with my own stuff. Right. But when it happens organically, and you're allowed to see people in a natural state,
that's it.
Allow God to do that work. He'll bring us full circle. If it's of God. it will have the perfect time.
That's it.
You want to come on in? Come on in. Jump on in.
Jump on in, girl. Put it up. Yeah. She back.
Okay, I am back. Listen,
But no, that's real.
This is raw and uncut behind the
We're going to leave it right in there. We're not editing.
I'm not even going to edit this out.
I love it.
That's the beauty of having real relationships
Baby,
and real raw uncut footage
Listen.
because my allergies is kicking my tail and I just need to run and grab some tissue.
Listen.
So y'all can laugh at me later.
Right. No, listen, I love it.
And that's okay, right? Yeah. So I want to just do a synopsis really quick.
Yeah.
So a big part of why we cannot have healthy friendships in the church is because we're not transparent and we're not open enough to even be able to pursue that.
Yes.
And over religifying everything. Now I made that word up, but
I love it.
Over religifying. We're gonna keep that.
Yeah, I like that.
Being overly religious about minor things prevents us. But then let me flip to the other side of that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's another part of that. Being in ministry and having friendships, how does that affect either or?
You're saying being a friend and in ministry and being a friend?
Being in ministry and being a friend. What's the positive negatives of that? Because oftentimes, too, we see the flip side of what we were just talking about. Why can't people have friendships? Well, you're not transparent. You're not this and that and the other. Mm-hmm. But then the flip side of that is, of course, we know people are not friendly. But then also, there's also a boundary line of being too friendly, to being too open, or allowing anybody in. Mm-hmm. All those things. So when it comes to ministry and friendships, what would you guys say is the fine line? I know we talked about in the previous episode, we talked about boundaries and respect and respecting each other in ministry and different things like that. But what do y'all see from y'all perspective being an issue when it comes to friendships and ministry
I have one right now.
as a whole?
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to make it personal. In ministry and friendship for me is when God calls the season to shift. Mm-hmm. Or if the friendship has ran its season. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think for me, that's a hard place to navigate. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because there's some people you start the race off with. There's people that I was running fire with God. We would have Bible studies, we'd be talking, we was cool. And then when the season shifted, they were in a different way and God was leading me a different way. Yeah. Nothing wrong, nothing negative, but it's still a loss. Yeah. And that still hurts. Yeah. And navigating that to understand it wasn't nothing bad. I have nothing against these people. I love them. That's right. They're just not going where I'm going in the kingdom. Yeah. And we may collide later. We may come together when God has done some things in our lives. But right now that season has ended. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people don't know how to navigate that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It ends up always being so messy, or they always got to have some, well, we just drifted apart. And then for me, if my relationship ended with either one of y'all at any point, it would be, they were amazing, and God brought them into my life, and we built what God wanted us to do in that season. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to always speak about them in a positive light. That's correct. Even if they're no longer part of, I'm not going to say, oh, I should have been up there, and she should have been. Yeah. You know, if I was still her friend, I would. Because God has shifted the seasons. That's right. And that's painful, and understanding when and when not to, you know. Yeah. And so for me, that's the part that I'm like, I feel like that's the hardest part of being in ministry, because ministry is weighty, and God shifts, and God's plans is not always our plans. We're human, so I'm gonna hold on to all 50 of y'all because I love y'all and y'all great. That's right. But God's like, that's not what we call. It's like when Elisha left Elijah, he didn't want him to go, but this is part of.
And I'm gonna go here too, because it's something that we dealt with personally, and I definitely want you to chime in. Yes, ma'am. But when it was time to shift, but you guys are covenant, so you're supposed to still maintain a friendship that's God ordained, right? Mm-hmm. There's purpose in the friendship, but there's growth and shifting and transition at the same time. Yep. How do you navigate that?
I would say, number one, you have to be at a mature place. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times, when you're at a healthy place and you done work on you, and you know, and you're at a mature place, it's a lot of times it's a simple conversation, because you can feel it. Yeah, you can feel, and if I am knowing I'm feeling something, And you know, and I'm calling you my friend, and that's also a word that we use again too loosely.
Yes. Yeah.
Some of y'all say you are an associate.
Oh, let's
you are a fan. You're an associate. You are a person that I'm just going to be friendly to. Yes. Right? You have to earn that.
You have to earn that.
Unless God has done something supernatural to where I feel a divine connection.
Come on.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
and besides that, you have to learn that, and you cannot overstep your boundaries. I think that's what people are doing. I have to grow into a relationship. It's a process. You know, you get closer. Just when husband and wife, you get married, you know, people 10 years later, I love you more now than I did when I first, right? So that's something that develops. I mean, if we be honest, when we got born again and got saved, we love Jesus more now than 20 years, 10 years, because we built relationship. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I feel like a lot of it is a conversation. And a lot of times, you know, and if they're your friend, they picked it up anyway. Yeah, and it's for you, you know what I mean? To say, hey, can I talk to you? Girl, let's go for coffee. And here's another thing. A real friend, you're not going to be calling me no prophetess, no woman of God. You're going to call me Toya. Like,
we ain't in the
let's lead them titles.
Lead them titles.
We understand how to jump into ministry, and you guys, y'all hit that on one of your episodes. But we know how to jump into the title and jump into that level of submission and authority where we're serving one another when we're in the house and we're doing the work of the kingdom. Yeah. But baby, we going for lunch and for tea.
We're not literally
who is around here, right?
It's
and so and we got to be okay with allowing that title to sit that title down.
Because it's always like you're on a high.
Yeah.
And when I'm with my friends, when I'm with her,
I'm safe.
I feel safe. Yes. There should be a security to be like,
yes.
It's a safe place to land.
Yes.
And know that you're covered. I know that if I go to her house and I crash on her couch,
that's right.
I'm safe.
That's right.
And she ain't over here.
Yeah.
What you doing?
Yeah.
Where I have a place to be me.
Listen, because are you always preaching? Are you preaching 24/7? Are you singing 24? Like, no one is doing that. No one is doing. And I don't care how you give a word. You're not giving a word all day long. You is a regular person.
And I want the real raw. I don't want to sing right now. This is what I don't want to sing.
You know what I mean? Okay. Literally. You know what I mean? Be a regular. Just be regular.
I'll say that to her.
And I think people don't know how to be regular.
People don't know how to be regular.
They don't know how to be regular.
I think that's the biggest thing.
And you need to ask God to help you.
Don't know how to be regular.
You need to fast and pray about that. You want to fast and pray about everything? Fast and pray about being regular. Lord, help me be regular. In the name of go, help me be regular. Do that. Pray about that. Put that on the altar. Be regular.
God, help me be regular. I'm about to pray this prayer.
I want to be regular, Jesus. I want to be a regular friend.
I want to be regular.
My husband tell me in a minute when he said, listen, I don't want that prophet lady. I want my wife.
I want my wife.
No, but that's a real place.
This is crazy.
But that's a real place. Yeah. And again, we're laughing about it as far as husband and wife.
Yeah.
You know,
but I don't want that in my friendship either.
That's what I'm saying. That's crazy.
Took the words out of my mouth because it's a real thing, and I think a big part of friendships and relationships in the church or in kingdom is that I first have to know you.
Yeah, listen.
Who am I serving with?
Before we can talk about ministry, because at the end of the day, when we're doing ministry, you're accountable to God, not me. So what you do, you know what I'm saying? But when we're friends, we have accountability to each other, and then there's a standard that I am going to make sure that you uphold as well when it comes to the things of God. Yeah. There's a different level of accountability and responsibility. Yeah. I don't know who you are, though I may know who you are in God. Yeah. But your mantle and your title, when you go home, take that. Well, you should take it off. But I know a lot of bishops and apostles and first ladies. They go home and they're still at home talking about, Bishop, you want a cup of tea?
That call their husband
Bishop, you want this? First lady? No,
I'm Bishop.
My name is Margaret. Your name is John.
But there's people that
you want chicken or steak for dinner?
Bishop, I
just want an anointed meal.
Jesus.
Listen, I just want to know you, not the character stuff you try to put on top of yourself. I don't want the sugar and the fluff. I don't want all this stuff that you try to mask. I need to know, first off, when I'm in a relationship, and when I'm talking about relationship, I'm talking about any kind. I don't care if it's mother, daughter, even with my children. Yeah. I tell them all the time, be okay being you. Yes. Yeah. Let people see you and who you are. If you don't like red, somebody else like blue. That's okay. You don't have to conform to what they like just to have friends. Amen. Be okay with being yourself. And I think that is a big part of the problem. Yeah. I'm going to go here. You don't know you.
You better.
So you can't choose what's best for you in a relationship or a friendship because you don't know you.
Don't know your own color.
So a big part of the problem in the church is
don't know your own favorite
heck. So many people we talked about this in a previous episode. We the young ministers and all that. That was what you and Toya. We talked about that, how they're so engulfed and hear what I'm saying. Nothing is wrong with being focused and in the word. Nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with spending time with God and spending time in prayer. But there is a time to where you have to come up for air that I may want to know what's your favorite food. And if you don't know that, how can I learn you? And then what happens is then you make people feel bad for not knowing you when you never taught them who you are.
Yeah. Listen.
That's good. So in church and in kingdom, we do a good job of putting on this mask and then teaching people who the mask is and then being hurt when people can't pick you up in the spirit or pick you up naturally. So, and like you said, when it's time to grow and transition and how do we navigate ministry and friendships, I can't navigate with you because I never learned you. I only know who you are in ministry.
And I think you said it, Alicia. You said as far as people, I just lost it. Come on, Holy Ghost.
Come on now, bring it back to
Jesus. I just had it. It was so good. It was so good.
Come on.
Oh, Lord, what was it? Girl, I just lost it.
You said a lot.
You did, but this was so powerful.
It was a part where when we're talking about the season shift
and then the safety. I can't be safe with you if I don't know you.
I don't know you.
You can't come to my house at times and just say, hey, because the thing is, your friendship should bring you peace.
Right.
And if it doesn't, it brings chaos and drama
and toxicity and all that.
Oh,
that's not
I got it. Not knowing, here's the thing. And you said not knowing who you are, that's the main thing. You just don't know you. And not knowing where to put people. Some people, if they're just going to be ministry. That's it. And they're going to be your ministry friend, and that's it. That's cool. They can't come to your house. They can't see you take your mantle off.
They can't see you take it off.
And you got to be okay with that.
They can't see you take your makeup off.
Right.
That wig can't come off because they can't respect the cornrows.
That's real talk. Seriously.
Listen, no.
And if we understand that, and it's like you said, it's not to be mean, but we just see where you are, and so you will never be able to handle the rawness of who Toya really is. You can only deal with the Toya that prays. You can only deal with the Toya that preaches. You can only deal with the Toya that cracks a couple jokes here and there. But there's a whole nother side of me. That's a Toya that cries. That's a Toya that
intercessors.
Feels some type of way concerning her kids or the mother Toya or the wife Toya. You will never be able to understand that Toya. Exactly. Right, baby.
I know this.
Listen, you don't want to catch that Toya. You get to catch them hands. It's these holy hands, right? But I have to understand where you are. Because here's the thing, I know who I am.
Yeah.
And so I know how far to let you come in because you're showing me where you are in the maturity where what you can handle.
And you can't be mad at the access I give you
based
off your actions.
Because
a lot of people will, and I'll say this, I had a situation to where, I do Kingdom Model Mentorship. I have a mentorship program for businesses and, everyday life, ministry, whatnot. And I had someone that wanted me to mentor them. And I don't mentor everybody. I'm very particular because mentorships requires two-way relationship, and it requires me to be transparent and expose parts of me that I need to know that you can handle.
That's right.
And a lot of people don't talk about that with mentorship because a lot of times mentorship in today's society or church is all a one way, and it's not supposed to be. And I'm not saying every mentor is that way. But what I am saying is that this is how I feel about that. A teacher teaches, but a mentor guides your life.
Yes.
And I need to know if you're teachable for me to guide your life
good.
based off of your fruit. So just like you're choosing me to mentor you, I need to choose you for me to be a mentee. And a lot of times what happens is that when you come to someone, you say, hey, will you mentor me? First off, I'm never going to give an immediate response because I need to seek God concerning you.
That's right.
And then once you open that door and you ask me, then I'm going to watch you. And I'm going to watch your character traits. I'm going to watch your behavior patterns, how you interact with other people, how you are with even your children and certain things like that. What are your references? Because I need to see your fruit and see what you are. Because one thing that I've learned, and I've said this before, even with being a conference host, I went from pastoring to being a conference host with the conference. And even every guest speaker I come in, and I'm saying all this because it pertains to relationship and connections and who you allowing yourself to connect to. But every speaker that you bring in, I heard Mark Moore say something that was so real. Every speaker you bring in, you bring their influence, you bring their problems, and you bring also their crowd. You bring everything that they believe in. And a lot of times, even with leadership, the people you bring in to speak at your church, that's why you can't get your church to grow, because the people that you're bringing in, people are associating you with those type of people, and they think that that's your character as well. They think that that's how you get down.
You gotta be very careful.
And you have to be careful because you see, the anointed person, but they're at home sleeping around with everybody, doing all kind of stuff, and they assume that you know.
People got a match.
And at the end of the day, that's even why with Heal the Leaders, I'm careful. I only bring in who God tells me to bring in and nothing else. And it's the same way with mentorship. You cannot get mad at me for seeking God about if you are allowed in my life. And if God tells me no, I tell you no. And then you're upset because you really only wanted access and not mentorship anyway.
That's right.
And you have to be careful with that. And I know that's a whole nother topic of things, but again, we're talking about relationships and friendships, and then that also goes as far as connection and access. There are levels to friendship. There are levels to access, just like there's levels to love. And that's the whole thing. And I had to tell someone, hey, and at this time, and then it goes back to being a leader and being careful with people, but telling them gently, because you don't want to bruise them, you don't want to break them. But people are going to get offended. But I had to literally tell someone, hey, God's not leading me to mentor you right now. However, if you need certain things here or there, if you have a question, I'd be happy to answer that for you here at the church. So I set a boundary too. You will not have my personal number. We're not going to do lunch or dinner because of what the Lord gave me warning for. So now I have to kind of let you know gently that no, this is not the season or the time. Your reaction to me saying, hey, God has not led me to mentor you in this season. However, I'll still be accessible to you if you need small things or questions or things like that. Their response proved what God had already told me. And if I had not listened to the Lord and allowed them to have access to me, guess what? I'm just as accountable for you as you are what I put in you, right?
That's correct.
And I think a lot of times we are giving the wrong people access because we don't know how to filter. We don't use discernment. And can we say this? We're kingdom, but we don't seek the king on anybody that comes to us.
That's right.
And we gotta be careful. And I wanted to bring that up because we talked about fans, friends, and things. The thing that has to be monitored as women in leadership, women in ministry, as we all are, and those who may be watching us, you're in ministry, you're looking for friends. Pride has to be killed. Because a lot of times, a lot of people are just amassing the pride in them. Oh, they want me to mentor. I'm gonna mentor them. They're not looking. They're not asking God.
That's right.
They're not. That's what they like having.
And I've had many people offer money for mentorship.
They like having an entourage.
Let's
be honest. You like an entourage. You like coming to the concerts and the ministry engagements with people following you. And so even with that, it's being very, very careful of the spirit that you are starting to carry with a level of influence. Because then when you start to rise, people are going to come out of the woodworks that you thought would never want to be your friend.
Come on.
And this is the time where you could rise to a comedy level and Eddie Murphy call you.
Right.
But is Eddie Murphy supposed to be in your circle?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Is Eddie Murphy supposed to be in your ear?
That's
just
right.
because it's popular, just because that everybody is singing your praises doesn't mean that I should be connected to you. And for me, I told her this. I said, I don't care what happens as God begins to do what he's doing in our lives. I'm going to forever be careful of who is in my... I have had in the past couple of years people that I thought, okay, I'm just going to let them come in and attach. Just come on and attach because they're nice, because they're sweet. And it's always ended badly.
Yep.
I remember the Lord specifically told, I had this happen to me. Blowout. Argument.
Yeah.
Literally. Y'all want to run a cut. This was years ago before I was in preaching, but it was still the basis of my friendship.
Exactly.
I was friends with this person. We got into a blowout.
Yeah.
The Lord said, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I let it go. This person called me back, apologized, and said that they missed me as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted me back in their life.
Yeah.
My heart was being pulled.
Yep.
I had to tell. I was cutthroat. I wasn't as finessed in my mid-20s as I was now.
Yeah.
I said no. I told her flat out, no.
Yeah.
I said, I'm so sorry. In this season, for me, it's a no.
Yeah.
She started crying. She was upset.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Yeah.
Fast forward several years later, the Lord told me no. Several years later, she called, she texted again. She's like, I'm going through a rough patch in my life, and I really missed our friendship.
Mm-hmm.
This time I wasn't the no person then.
Yeah.
And I allowed that person back because of heartstrings.
Yes.
Even though God told me no.
That's
and
so good.
years later, I was feeling that, this friendship has to end. Because it just came back to that same toxic flow. And I said, oh, God, I done disobeyed you. And now this person's attached. And I was really like, God, please, cut him off, Lord. Because I was now in this place of doing this again look weird. I was disobedient. Now I'm going to say, I'm going to cut you off again.
Yeah.
It was cut off, and it was in a bad way.
Right.
Yeah.
But God did it.
Yeah.
And so I said, I never again will I allow people back access to something that God never allowed them to be. You're not being uppity. You're not being too big. You're not being that. You're moving in love. You're moving this. But my mind, my sphere, my area is protected.
That's right.
And God has called me to steward that.
That's right.
And if I start letting everybody, like you said, people I invite to my choir, I'm careful who I take engagements
That's
with.
right.
I'm careful because guess what? Y'all start affiliating me with all those people that do that.
Exactly.
And I'm not a part of that.
And here's the thing, brokenness is attracted to people that are healed.
Always,
Yeah.
Right?
always,
So
always.
you're going to always see people that are broken and they're finding themselves and they're trying to get to a place, want to
Your heart
connect,
pulls for
right?
that.
Oh my God, I just want to be where you're at. Man, I would love to just talk to you and just hang out with you. Man, you're so confident. I just want to be, we're going to talk right here at church.
And I'm going to refer you to a life coach.
There you go. Listen.
Okay?
And guess what? And here's the thing. If you're not ready for coaching and you need counseling, I'm gonna refer you to a therapist.
Period.
Because here's the thing. People, and I had somebody get offended with me. Had two situations. One girl hired me to be her life coach because she wanted a friend. When I tell, because I said, Lord,
these categories got to
when
get
I
together.
tell you, she was, we have sessions. And I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do that. So I'm saying, okay, let's get started. Right? Let's get started. Let's do this. Yeah. We get on the phone and we're having our sessions. She's talking about everything but what we would need to be talking about, free stuff. And I'm like, sounds good. How was your day? I said, well, my day was pretty good. Yeah. I said, but let's talk about,
You're trying to redirect it.
Maybe. By the third side, I said, Lord, what is this? Because I was like, wait a minute. Because she made me feel like she was trying to do this business. I'm trying to help her do a life.
And now I'm your paid friend.
And I said, and right. And I said, and this woman's paying me good money. I said, now, listen, she ain't got to pay for friend, Jesus. I said, listen, I feel like, you just want a girlfriend and someone to talk to. I said, let's just, when you want to talk, I'm going to give you access to call and we'll chit chat for a little bit. I don't feel comfortable taking your money. Yeah. And that's not what you're really wanting from me. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with giving you conversation. She said, okay, and that was it. I'm like, Lord, what is this? Then in other instances, like you said, people want a life coach because a life coach takes you from your present to your future. Yeah. Right? That means you're at a place where you want to advance. Hey, I want to go to another level in my professional career. Yeah. I'm thinking about starting my own business. Right? Not where you talking about, well, ex-husband did this and my mama did this. You need a therapist.
That's therapy.
You're dealing with traumas and you got triggers and you need to be healed from the pain that was caused in your life. You need therapy. That's not what I'm certified to do. Could I walk you through that? Yes, sure. As a minister and ordained in that, sure. But that's not what this is my business. And you need another level, and I'm not willing to go there.
Need some medicine, and that's for a licensed clinician. Amen. Listen. I'm very therapy.
Right.
Pro therapy.
Yeah, so, you do.
I think everybody needs to have that level. You have had battle wounds in friendship. I suggest therapy.
You do need it.
I think it helps you with your communication. I think it helps you with your trauma so that you're not bleeding on friendships. You're not rejecting. You're not pushing people away. You're learning how to redirect yourself, to ground yourself. Yeah. And I think for African Americans, that's something that is rejected. Yep. And so we push until we broke.
Yes.
We're broken.
Yep.
And we have to be okay with, and I'm going to close us out here, but we have to be okay with admitting everybody wasn't bad and everybody wasn't the problem. Sometimes it's us.
That's so good, sis.
And you know what we're saying.
That's so good.
And again, we're still talking about friendships and relationships, but the relationship part is you have a choice. And you can choose to ignore the red flags or the warning signs or the leading of the Holy Spirit. Or you can choose to do what you want to do, or you can choose to obey. Everything happens for a reason, but I want to say this as well, because I feel like there's somebody that is watching that is literally going to say this, because, you know, we could be so churchy with things. We have to be okay with not putting the pressure on other believers to be your friend just because they're a believer. Because a lot of times we don't hold the church, we hold the church to the same standards as the world, or actually we hold the church to a higher standard, than the world. The world, if somebody say, I don't really want to be your friend, you okay with it. But you come in the church and you get mad at your leadership. You get mad at your sister and brother in Christ. You get mad at the person on your row because they didn't turn and high five you when the pastor said high five. Oh, they mean and they don't want to be my friend. No, I don't have to be your friend. Yeah. I have to love you with the love of God and all those things. However, what if God's showing me something about you that I've been healed from, that you're still very toxic in, and God is telling me to shield and protect myself and don't connect in that way? I think a lot of times we have to be okay with giving other believers grace to say no. That's a good one. If no means no in the world, why can't we respect a no in the church? Why do we get offended? We start feeling rejection and abandonment. And then, and this is going to be for another podcast, we're going to end it here. Yeah. I was church hurt.
Oh, that church hurt.
The church hurt me because they wouldn't be my friend. Girl. But you are a liar. You are manipulative. You're deceitful. You sleeping with somebody else's husband or somebody else's wife. There's so many different factors. And could it be that you're not the only one with a prophetic eye that God shows someone you to? And that maybe you're not good for them? Yep. Or you're not ready to be friends with them, because like both said is, if you can't handle surface me, you can't handle deep me. Because surface me is going to say, hey, sweetheart, not at this time. Yeah. I don't have the capacity to be the kind of friend that you need me to be. Or I don't have the capacity to be the mentor or the ministry partner you need me for me to be. Well, I don't understand. And no, sweetheart, you're called to lead. And you're supposed to. No, what I'm supposed to do is love God. Yep. Be obedient to him and love his people. But that does not mean that I have to do whatever the people tell me I have to do to appease them. So I think we're going to leave it there.
That's good, sis.
The church hurt me because they wouldn't be my friend. Yeah. Mic drop.
Bam.
Be okay and give people grace and be okay with their no.
That's right.
Because every no's not a bad
It's
no.
not a bad no.
Some no could be, hey, they don't have capacity to be. What if they're busy? They might not have the capacity. Like, for instance, I have 2 businesses.
Yeah.
I'm in ministry.
Yeah. They don't care.
We just launched a book. We're doing the conference. You single parent.
I'm tired.
Not
married.
married. Work jobs. I'm exhausted. I have mentorship program. I may not have the capacity to love you that way in this season. However, catch me down here. Oh, how about this? I'm healing.
Yes.
I can't bleed on you right now, so I'm saying no to protect you.
Yep.
But you're offended at my no.
No, that's right.
But I know something that you don't know.
And they want to be your friend, but are they willing to be a friend? You want me to be your friend.
Because friendship
is two-way. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's two, because again,
so
it's
can
a
you handle
the
the weight of who I am?
Yeah, because
I can listen to you all day and have wisdom for you. But can you have wisdom for me?
I can identify in the first conversation if this is gonna work or not.
I promise you.
Real friendships aren't one-sided.
It's not. That's what they want.
It's not.
That's what they want.
We're gonna pick up.
Ooh, this is good. This was good.
I don't know if we need another episode.
We
might need one more episode on relationships. Y'all tell us what we think.
Listen,
help me. The church won't be my friend. That sounds good to me.
That do sound good.
Y'all let us know in the comments if y'all need one more episode. One more episode.
Come on, don't let us down. Y'all need one more.
But listen, I've thoroughly enjoyed having both of my girls on the podcast Beyond the Pulpit, where we have real raw conversations about things that happen beyond the pulpit, beyond ministry, beyond business, beyond our leadership roles in the community, and we try to provide a different perspective and kingdom solutions and still give glory to God, because we are believers, we are kingdom women, we are in ministry, but we're still, first and foremost, we're still servants, and we are just women.
That's right.
Right? But this isn't just for women, this is male as well. But I'm so excited to have you guys join me. Y'all leave in the comments for us. Let us know if y'all want one more episode of relationship talk. Okay, because this is good.
This is really good.
Join us again for Beyond the Pulpit. Join me again for Beyond the Pulpit with Brittine'y. Make sure you like, comment, and share.
Share that with one of your friends.
Share with one of your friends, okay?
Or a person trying to be your friend.
Okay. But listen, also, when you comment, share with us your story. Share with us your experiences, because again, Beyond the Pulpit with Brittine'y is not about me. It's about the kingdom of God. How can we grow, build, and learn from past mistakes, whatever it is. I want to hear your stories. Again, I read everything when they're on the show with me. They read as well, and we want to hear from you. So make sure you like, comment, and share, and make sure most of all tune in to the next episode of Beyond the Pulpit with Brittine'y. See y'all later.
Love y'all.
Love you.